I haven't done recently a video about my Spitfire, and that's not because I haven't worked on it. It's exactly the opposite. I work a lot on it, but I'm doing mainly or only body work, and it's not very interesting actually. It's a lot of sanding and a lot of dust, applying bondo, sanding, and all over again. So I don't think that's gonna be very interesting for you. That's why today's video might be a little short, but that's again just because there's nothing interesting to show. So here I'm working on the right side, trying to achieve the right shape, working with I think that's 40 grit sandpaper. I'm trying to align the door with the rocker and with the rear quarter panel, and that shape over there in the quarter panel took a lot of time because it was really distorted, and the nice oval shape was turned into something totally different. So I kept building there and sanding and building and sanding, and because it's oval I couldn't use the power tools too much, so I had to do almost everything by hand. But it's fun, I like it. Because I'm not familiar with the bondo, actually I'm getting familiar now, we are becoming close friends already, but at this point here I wasn't really sure, and I was afraid to add too much bondo. I have no idea why, but I was adding just a little bit, and then I was sanding down, and then when I see somewhere it's still uneven I add more, and this is how I work. But actually I think, at least that's my opinion now from my small experience, what I learned, I think it's better just add a lot and then sand it down, and as soon as you start seeing metal showing up here and there, this is the point where you stop. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion, that's what I found out from experience. So that's how I work now, but here I was just adding a little and sanding it down, adding a little and sanding it down, and it took a lot of time. Again, for the same reason, I was mixing just a little bit of hardener in the bondo, because I was afraid that it's gonna harden before I'm able to use it. That's why I was making a little bit poor, if I can say, mixture, and that's why when I applied bondo somewhere I had to wait for an hour maybe to get hardened. That's why I work around all over the place. So here I decided to work a little bit on the wheel arch. It had some ugly corners in it, so I'm making the shape nice and oval, and I'm gonna work on the edge later. Once I was happy with the shape of the arch, I started working on the how should I say, the surface of the fender, and I created a really sharp edge, which actually was my guiding light, because this edge, I worked on the shape and on the surface until this edge was nice and smooth. There were no any waves on it, because if there were waves, this meant that either the shape of the arch is not right or the shape of the external panel is not right. So once there were no any more waves, I knew that the shape is nice and smooth on both the arch and the surface of the panel. So then to form the edge, I wanted to copy the right hand side because that's probably the original there, and I like the shape there, how the edge looks. So what I found out, or what I observed, was that, let's say if we do a cut of the fender, this would be the arch, and then this would be the exterior panel, let's say. So this is what I created. I worked on the wheel arch here, and then I worked on this surface, which is more like an arch, or like that. And this is this sharp edge that I was talking about. So what I found out on the other fender is that the shape there is once done like that with a vertical line, and then there were two arches done like that, and all this disappears. So this is the profile of the fender, something like that. So this is what I'm trying to achieve. Maybe that's a little bit oversized, maybe. So maybe it's a little bit like that, something like that. And I liked it on the other fender, so that's why I was trying to achieve the same thing here. So that's the first passage where I'm making the vertical line. I'm trying to keep my block as vertical as possible, and I'm trying to make a smooth and even line. The width of this vertical cut, let's say, should be even all over the place. Of course, at the bottom ends it narrows to 0. And once I had the nice and smooth and even width of this vertical line, I did 2 more passages, once with the block angled one side, once with the block angled to the other side, to make those top and bottom small arches. And that's how I did the shape, and I liked it. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, but at least it makes sense to me in my head. Final check, first with my hand, because my hands see better than my eyes, and then with my eyes, because my eyes feel better than my hands. And that's it, moving forward. The width of the lip of the fender that's going inside the wheel well was very wide and uneven. I wanted to cut it a long time ago to make it narrower, but I waited for the edge to be ready so I can use the edge as my guiding line, and from that, now as you can see, I marked the line. Yeah, you can see here the ugly part. So I marked this line there, and now I'm gonna cut it. I'm working on this project after hours and in the weekends only. And during the weekdays after hours I do like an hour or 2 almost every day, or maximum 3 hours. So this week, one of the weekdays after I finished work and I started working on my car, I was a little bit too lazy to start with bodywork again. That's why I decided to paint the rear wheel wells in red because that's the idea. I sprayed undercoat there, but I wanted them to be red. So I put some cardboard in underneath, so I don't spray the floor too, because I wanted the floor to be black. So I kind of masked the wheel well, and then I painted it both sides. And since I started talking about towers, let me give you some statistics. I keep track of all my hours that I work on my car, just for fun, not because I want to calculate any costs or something. Just I want to know at the end of the day how many hours I worked and how many hours I worked on this part or on that part, so I'm keeping track of everything. And the funny part is that in the very beginning when I started, I estimated what processes I'm gonna do and how long is it gonna take me for each process, and I estimated approximately 400 hours. And up to the 250 hours I was really close to what I estimated. But now I am already at 350 hours, and since 250 actually, my remaining hours didn't change at all. What I mean is that when I had 250 hours done, I estimated another 150 to do, so total 400. But since then, I did another 100 hours, and my estimated remaining hours are still 150, so total 500, which means that for the last month I added approximately 100 hours that I didn't expect to do. These are things that just popped out from nowhere, like the next thing that I'm gonna show you. Okay, so I'm starting with the bonnet here, and if you remember, I showed you in another video how I fixed this. I replaced it. I still have to replace it on the other side. I was too lazy at the time to do it. Now I have to do it, but while I was looking at this, I noticed something else which I never noticed before, and it's this side is the good side actually. This side, there's a very nice shape of these grooves, if I can call them grooves, here for the parking light and for the signal light. If you can see here, there's a nice crescent going here, coming to zero, and from where it comes to zero there's another crescent starting underneath and ending where this crescent starts. So it's one crescent and another one, and it's the same thing here for the other light. But when you look at the other side, there was an accident here, or something went wrong, and it's very ugly. I don't know how, so far I've never looked at that, but that even this goes down a little here, and the crescent here is missing, and this crescent here is missing. Somebody just welded it together and didn't care. Again, as usual on this car, didn't care what it's gonna look like, he cared only to be nice and strong. So I'm gonna have to deal with that now. That's additional work that I didn't expect to do, but that's the risk of taking such a project. Anyways, let me start. So as usual, I wanted to see what I was dealing with, so I started by removing the bondo and everything that was on my way to see what's going on there. And here, that's incredible amount of body filler. That's more than half an inch, and they used it to fill this this place which was pushed in, and the only reason that they didn't push it out was because they left a second layer of sheet metal inside. The old sheet metal they just covered with new one, and they didn't care about it. So now that I cut it out, I was able to hammer the area out, and now it's almost where it's supposed to be. And now I just need to work with a little bit of body filler, and I'm gonna fix it. I don't have to fill a gap of more than half an inch. What I found out, the missing crescent is actually still here, and there's one even here. So I thought that this part went in, but actually not this part went in. This is too far out. So this needs to go down, and this needs to go down, and then this crescent is gonna show, and the other one's gonna show, which I can see from inside, and it's rotten. But that's why they just put another piece of steel on top and covered the sheet. So I'm gonna remove this piece, and I'll see how to fix the crescents. So once I cut the patch out, the original rusty sheet metal got exposed, and I just created a pattern to make a patch for there and cut out the rusty metal and replace it with a new one. So that's the template I made for here. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna replace the piece that goes under the crescents, and just for the hell of it I try to see how does it match the other side, and surprisingly it matches. Then out of the template I cut a piece of steel for there, and then I cut an opening, and with a little bit of grinding here and there, I managed to make them the same shape, and then I could weld. So my video wasn't that short after all. Actually there were things to be shown, so I'm happy I did it. And I haven't finished with that. I still have to weld some more, but it became too late at night and I decided to leave it for the next day. And probably I'm gonna show it in my next video finished. So see you then.